in a little country schoolhouse many years ago. They were talking about religion, which is now a big no-no. One day the teacher asked the class to tell the church where they went. There were Methodists and Baptists and Holy Rollers of the Covenant. One boy said, my church's name is just too big to say. He said, I'll have to spell it. And he started out this way. He said, U-N-I. That's a way to begin. T-A-R. That's next letters in. I-A-N. Those are the third. U-N-I. It's a brand new word. B-E-R. Just filling in. S-A-L. I'm getting near the end. U-N-I-T-A-R-I-N. U-N-I-B-E-R-S-A-L-I-S-T. That is the way to spell you. Well, he said we like Jesus, but we like Buddha too. It's not about the religion, it's whatever works for you. We try not to be too serious, and we know how to laugh. Wouldn't you rather be smiling when you walk your spiritual path? He said we're not judgmental, and it's okay if you like wine. We're not afraid of the devil, just prepackaged paradigms. He said, you and I. That's a way to begin. T-A-R. Those are the next letters in. I-A-N. Those are the third. You and I. It's a brand new word. B-E-R. I'm just filling in. S-A-L. Getting near the end. U-N-I-T-A-R-I-N. U-N-I-B-E-R-S-A-L-I-S-T. That is the way to spell you. That's a way to begin. T-A-R. Those are the next letters in. I-A-N. Those are the third. U-N-I. This is a brand new word. B-E-R. Filling in. S-A-L. Getting near the end. U-N-I-T-A-R-I-N. U-N-I-B-E-R-S-A-L-I-S-T. That is the way to spell you.
Good morning. Good morning. As you can see, we are doing things kind of different today. This is our improv service, and so it's going to be an experiment of what happens when we don't overplan, but we just get in the spirit and trust each other. So thank you for coming and experimenting with us today. There's an awesome opening hymn that is exactly about that, and that's hymn number 1024 in your teal hymnal, When the Spirit Says Do. So please rise in body or spirit for hymn 1024, When the Spirit Says Do.
Good morning. So we would like for you to take a moment with us to get in touch with your mind and your body and your spirit. If at any point this week you felt compelled by whatever spirit being you recognize and associate with to express something, to expel something, to let something go, maybe that's joy, maybe it's bliss, maybe it's pain, maybe it's sorrow, maybe it's a little bit of anger. And during this time together this morning with the opening hymn, I would invite you to let that go and express whatever the Spirit has been calling you to do, and maybe you haven't found the space to do it, and this is your time.
Is this the right mic?
Yes.
Yes? No? Is this the right mic? Yes. All right, front and center, y'all. Life doesn't have a script. Oh, how I wish it did. Too often I say the wrong thing. I want to help, but in trying too hard, the words are awkward, and so am I, because I'm not holding a paper that says beat, pause, connect, breathe, count to 10 in front of me, so I forget. Life doesn't have a script, so I never know what's going on. Life and death happen without my approval. Love and pain play out with a red pen to edit it. No one has told me what my lines should be. Life doesn't have a script, but every observer is an actor, and every actor an observer, but hopefully not a critic, as we fumble around together, offering grace as we write our story in real time. Life doesn't have a script, and so we collaborate, we jam, we play, we improvise, we surrender to the great process that is life, is actor, writer, and audience. No editors allowed. Life doesn't have a script. And neither do we. Let us take a moment to center ourselves in this great experiment. Good morning. Good morning. I'm the Reverend Tiffany Sapp, the minister of this church. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm really excited to give this a try today. I hope that we can all come into this space to connect with each other, to be present with each other, to work with whatever it is that we are handed this morning. There is one thing that you all can do to help me with this service right now, and that is that you all should have index cards in your bulletin. Later on today during the service, some very brave people are going to play an improv game called Whose Line. Part of this game is that I will be collecting these cards before the service, before their acting thing happens, and I'm going to hand each of them one card. So your card might not be selected, but as they are acting out their improv scene, at some point during their scene, they're going to choose to pull the card out of their pocket and read whatever's on the card, not knowing what it says. Because life is like that sometimes. We're handed something and we don't get to anticipate it, but then we have to respond to it. We have to make it part of our life and our story. So if you are inspired to write a family-friendly, that does not do anything that would violate our church status, like don't say anything for or against any politicians or political parties, or I will definitely not be using your card, and keep it family friendly. But if you would like to write a random line that one of our very brave actors might say, you can go ahead and write that down. I'll collect them later during the service. So even when things are chaotic and exciting. There are still some touchstones that bring us to our center and some rituals that we share, and one of those is the chalice lighting, so that's what we're going to do next.
In the midst of possibility and uncertainty, simple rituals sustain us. The chalice, the spark, the flame, the people, the container, the love. We light this chalice to remind us of the gifts of stability within the eye of the storm. Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Bradley, and I'm your service leader today. We welcome you, old friends and new, young and old, online and in person. You are an essential part of our gathering today. Whether today is your first Sunday with us or your 1000th Sunday with us, we are stronger because of your presence. We are one people of many philosophies, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. Please silence your cell phones. Please observe the perfume-free zone, and please allow personal space for service animals while those animals are on the job. This week we are at low risk. This means that masks are not currently required. We will continue to have a YouTube option for those who cannot be here for whatever reason. And no matter what the risk level, we have color-coded wristbands so that you can indicate your distancing needs. And it is especially important to stay home if you are sick. But before we get into the truly unscripted portions of today's adventure, we would like to officially welcome Justin Ridley, our new Director of Religious Education, to our shared ministry of religious education.
You want to stand there, and Sarah, if you want to stand here. And Sarah's on a lav mic. Justin Ridley, our new Director of Education, is here, and so is Sarah Sanders. Justin and Sarah have been working together since the first of the month to help us have a smooth transition, and this is the week that Sarah moves from being our interim DRE back to being a member of the church. Sarah is actually not up here as the interim DRE, but she's up here as one of the leaders of the RE Collaborative. In this world, sometimes we wear many hats, and so see Sarah wearing the RE Collaborative hat today. So, we work together as a church to transform ourselves, our community, and our world by sharing love, pursuing justice, and seeking wonder. This is the vision that motivates all that we do here, and we can't do any of that without all ages religious education. We are all always transforming from infancy to our sunset years. We share love in community, where classes are a pretext to get to know each other in deeper ways than we can sitting next to each other during Sunday services. And we pursue justice by first learning the principles and actions of justice. And while wonder comes to us in many ways, the eyes of the child reflect wonder in the purest ways, whether we are a parent or teacher or a congregation full of adopted grandparents, we honor and nurture the special gift of a child's wonder. Today represents a new chapter in Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Church's quest for transformation, love, justice, and wonder with the commissioning of our new Director of Religious Education, Justin Ridley. Justin comes to us with experience organizing large numbers of volunteers, parents, and kids, directing a very large youth soccer program. He comes to us with an education that centers religion, philosophy, and spiritual care, and he comes to us with an openness to journeying with us as we all learn together in community.
We at Wholesome Valley Unitarian Universalist Church welcome you as an essential part of our community this morning. You have come to worship, play, work, and grow among us. Ours is a free church. We have no creeds, and you are free to bring your ideas and beliefs to this community to share with others. I invite you to join us in this religious search for meaning and purpose in life, informed by our individual beliefs and the traditions of Unitarian Universalism.
You have agreed to join the staff of this church, and we have covenanted to do great work together. This morning, I invite you to celebrate that commitment with us. As you commit to support this congregation's children, youth, parents, adult learners, and volunteers in learning and wonder, I commit to supporting you. Working here means being part of this gathered community, speaking out about the future of this congregation, offering and receiving the gifts of the Spirit, supporting others, and being supported in return. If you will join us in this joyful work, say, I will.
I will.
Will the congregation please rise? There is a line printed at the very bottom of your order of service. And if you could respond with the words printed at the bottom of your order of service to welcome Justin. We receive you with open hands and hearts. As you join us, we once again renew our own commitment to this religious community. We are proud to grow together. We are happy to have you among us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is story time. For today's story, I would like to invite anyone who wants to help me make up a story to come join us down front. You can be a kid, you can be a teenager, you can be an adult, but anyone who wants to come make up a story with me, come on down. Love a good story, right? Good morning. So one of the principles behind improv, the first principle is yes and. And by coming up here today to help me with the story, you all have said yes. And I thank you for being creative with me today. So we're going to completely make up this story. So let's start with, what is the purpose of our story? Do we want to teach a lesson? What's our goal with the story? Does anyone have, yeah? Okay, this is going to be a story about discovering nature, y'all. I love it. Okay, so we probably need some main characters. They don't necessarily have to be human. Who would like to suggest a main character? Yes. A deer? I like it. So one of our main characters is a deer. Does the deer have a name? Maple? Maple the deer. Maple the deer is going to learn about nature. Yeah, who else do we have?
Lizard.
A lizard. What's the lizard's name? All right, does someone want to suggest a name for the lizard? How about you? Charles. Charles is an excellent name for a lizard. So we've got Charles the lizard and we've got Maple the deer. So a lot of good stories are created by a conflict. Without conflict, we usually don't have a story. So what kind of conflict, what sort of challenge could Charles the lizard and Maple the deer be facing related to nature? Yes? They don't agree on dinner. I would expect Maple and Charles to not agree on dinner, right? Okay. So does that suggest a setting then? Yes? In a cave. Is the cave their home? Yeah, okay. So Charles the lizard and Maple the deer are in their home, which is a cave, and they cannot agree about dinner. All right. So does anyone have a first sentence for this story? This is where it gets tricky, right? Yes. Formulas are good for us. They give us a starting place. Once upon a time, there was a lizard named Charles and a deer named Maple, and they lived in a cave. What happens next?
They were arguing about dinner.
Maple and Charles were arguing about dinner. The story is writing itself, y'all. All right, then what? Maybe one of them says something to the other. Charles wants to eat the bugs on the wall. And then what happens? And Maple wants to go outside and get some apples off of the trees and eat those. Okay, then what happens?
Well, the bugs are already in the cave. Go.
Okay, so Charles does not understand what Maple's problem is because the bugs are right here. Why would we go out for dinner? We already have dinner at home, right? I mean, gosh, Maple, do you always just want to go out and get apples? I mean, the bugs are right here. All right, what does Maple say to that? Yes? Maple says, but the bugs are gross. And what does Charles say to that? What's Charles say? Go ahead.
Well, I don't like apples.
Charles says, I don't like apples, I like bugs. Okay, so perhaps there's a way to find some resolution. Maybe it's another character shows up, maybe we come up with a compromise. How are they gonna solve this conflict? Apples have bugs. So Maple is so irritated with Charles and doesn't want to hear any more of his nonsense about bugs anymore. So she prances on out to their apple grove and she starts picking apples. But when she bites into this apple, she's so surprised because there's a bug in her apple. And just as she's noticing this, Charles is like stomping out after her. He's taken longer because his legs are shorter. And Maple's like, Charles, there's a bug in my apple. And Charles says, my dear, I know how to solve this problem. And he steps up like a superhero and he eats the bug out of the apple. Does the story need anything else, or is that a good stopping place? What else do we got? All right, so then another animal shows up. It's a bear. And what's his name? What's the bear's name? Frederick. Frederick the bear shows up and says, Charles and Maple, how can you be eating apples and bugs? Oh, wait. Bears like all of those things. Huh? Okay, the bear likes berries and honey. and Charles and Maple, and Charles and Maple back slowly away from the bear, and they say, "All right, Charles, you can have whatever you want. We're going to go back into our cave." And suddenly, Charles and Maple were getting along just fine. The end. One more question before you all go back to your seats. What should we name this story? What should we title it? Yes?
Maple and Charles have an argue about.
Maple and Charles argue about dinner. All right, thank you for my story, and you all can go back to the seat. We were imagining what an improv service could possibly look like, the question of music came up, and I think music creates some of the best opportunities for improvisation. So we are going to have a jam session. It is going to last a little longer than your average musical piece because jam is a process and you got to work up to it, but I think it's gonna be worth it. So I invite you to just settle in, enjoy the flow, and we will see what happens.
And to kind of piggyback on that, you know, a lot of times I'll look around the room and I'll see people with their eyes closed. And they'll just let the music wave over them. And that's beautiful. But for this particular jam session, I would invite you to keep your eyes open and watch every musician on this stage. Things to look out for is how we communicate, who takes the lead, who backs up, who, you know, what do we do when we make a mistake? Because this is a form of communication that not everybody gets to be a part of, and it's a really beautiful thing. So what are we starting with, guys? Mama Don't Allow? Let me grab my guitar. And no, you're not supposed to hear my guitar. It's just for show. And let's see, so. And 1, 2, 3, go. Well, Mama don't allow no music playing around here. Mama don't allow no music playing around here. We don't care what Mama don't allow. We're gonna play music anyhow. Mama don't allow no music playing around here. Well, Mama don't allow no trombone playing around here. Well, Mama don't allow no trombone playing around here. We don't care what Mama don't allow. We're gonna play the trombone anyhow. Mama don't allow no music playing around here. That's right. Take it away. Well, Mama don't allow no guitar playing around here. You quit that racket now. Mama don't allow no guitar playing around here. Oh, well, we don't care what Mama don't allow. We're gonna play the guitar anyhow. Mama don't allow no music playing around here. about James? Mama don't allow no piano playing around here. Oh, no, we don't care what Mama don't allow. We'll play the piano anyhow. Mama don't allow no music playing around here. Let's hear it, James. Woo! How we doing on time, Tiff?
You told me not to watch that.
Thank you, Rachel Reese. Hey, Blues.
Mic check. Hi, thank you everybody. Thanks again for joining us in this musical improv session. So, musical improv session is creation on the spot. But with creation on the spot, you also have to have a little bit of structure as well. So I don't know if you noticed, but before we started playing, we agreed on two things. We agreed on the key and the structure of the music, which basically tells us what we can play when. However, while we improv over the basic structure, all of our soloists took their own individual journeys and traveled through the keys to be able to play that improvisational solo for you today. So, with that, you can really compare music to life because all of us get a basic structure that we travel away from on our individual paths and come back to. And with that, through humility, grace, and open communication, we're actually able to create that journey in the same way that we do in music. We don't know exactly what we're going to play when we go into those improvisational solos, but we know the basic structure that we can go from and come back to. So with that, I'm actually going to invite the musicians that played solos up here to talk about what improv means to them and what they experienced on this stage. Because despite how confident we look, improvisation is absolutely terrifying, no matter how many years of musical experience that you have. So with that, I'm actually going to welcome Karis up first to talk about their experience in this musical improv.
Thanks, Rachel. So for me, improv is terrifying, like Rachel said. I'm constantly second-guessing myself. Am I going to mess up? Am I good enough? Am I going to mess up what they already have going on? I think that's like my biggest fear. And also, I can get in my head so much that I have to constantly tell myself, stop thinking about it and let the Spirit move through you, because this form of creation is has the potential to be its own entity, and that is something that is one of my goals going into any sort of jam session in improv, is to kind of sacrifice my brain for the Spirit.
Yeah, sure. So when I think of improv, you know, from my experience as a pianist, improvisation is, you know, it's a whole thing. There's, you know, as a jazz pianist who can do this kind of stuff, you get, you know, people who will do entire pieces of music just improv on the spot, and it's really, really incredible. But from my experience from improv, I often will add a little bit of improv to every church service that I do, because I will add little bits on the end of tunes and little bits to the intros of tunes, and sometimes on the spot I'll forget, because usually I'll do like a little intro to the pieces, to the hymns that we do, and sometimes I'll forget to do that, and then like at the morning of the service, I'm like, oh shoot, what should I do for the intro? So I'll have to decide what piece of the hymn I want to take out and insert into the beginning. And improv is just, it's very fun. It's very fun to be able to put a little bit of yourself into the music that you're playing. It's a lot different from the classical world where you have a pre-written piece and you're supposed to play it exactly the way it says in the score. And if you do something different, it's probably wrong and bad to do it. But in the world of improv, in the world of jazz, if you do something different than what's on the score, as long as it sounds good, it is good. And there's a famous saying that you'll often hear a lot, and that's that there's no wrong notes. There's just the ones that you should play that sound a little bit more harmonious. And that often is very true. There are technically no wrong notes to play in jazz. There's just some that work better with the pocket and the pool of notes that you have to choose from. So improv is really fun, and it can be terrifying, yes, but a lot of the times it's really fun, at least for me.
So I deal with a bit of stage fright. I know it's hard to imagine a music major being afraid of being in front of a bunch of people playing an instrument, the thing that I'm going to be doing for my job. But that's something that's really common among those of us who do music for our careers or our education. And improv is sort of one of those things where I love playing jazz and I love the idea of playing a solo, but solos are hard and I don't know how to make what's in my head come out of my horn, and it's so much easier when I'm in my room and I have a backtrack and I don't have to worry about screwing everybody else up, but that is not the case. I worry all the time, just like Harris says, about screwing everybody else up. And I don't even focus as much on what I'm doing as I should be to be performing something that sounds good. And a lot of the time, I just will stick it right to the root of the chord and just try to be the accompaniment, not get up, not cover anybody else up. Yeah. So when I do take solos, though, and I mean, I have my recital coming up, and I'm playing solos on jazz pieces. So this is something that I've had to get used to. When I do play solos, you just sort of have to forget everything else. Just, this is the music, this is a song, I know how the song goes, or this is just a standard 12-bar blues. I know how that's supposed to sound. I taught that to middle schoolers. I can do that, right? And you just sort of have to forget that you're in front of people and that you're with other musicians and just do it. And that's sort of how I do a lot of things. I just do it. I don't really know how any of this is going to work out. You just got to do it.
I'll wrap us up.
All right. I think we've only got enough time for like 10-second responses. That's okay.
Okay. It was fun. The first time all of us played together was yesterday, so it's a little more nerve-wracking when you've not played with a group of people much before, but that's also part of the fun.
I was just going to say that I don't like speaking much, and so I wasn't going to speak much. But that's the beauty of music, is that it can be like a conversation in its own way. You have structure, like you have words and grammar and stuff in having a conversation, but then you also can say whatever you want with your instrument and talk to the people you're jamming with.
No. All right, I'll patch us up. Thanks, guys. So I'll end with playing off all this. There's no wrong notes, just better choices. And for me, music is something that I use when I cannot find the words. I can usually find the note to play. And again, with improv and with life, there are no wrong notes, just better choices. Thanks for inviting us today, guys.
This is a fun journey, and there are things that we always need as a community, and one of those things is a chance to come together with our joys and concerns and support each other. It's a ritual that many of us know and that speaks for itself. We do have 2 candle cards. One is that it is the 3rd year anniversary of the whole world shutting down from the coronavirus. It's something to think about, something to hold in your hearts as our world was turned upside down and we're still figuring out what that means for us. So maybe it's a good Sunday to be talking about improvisation. The other is that Emmy wants to share with us that she has had to go no contact with an abusive parent, and that it's been a month of that, and that she really needs the support of all of us in that journey of drawing boundaries to care for herself. So we are going to still sing Loving Kindness, and we are still inviting people to come up and light candles. If you're on this side, please go out the door and come around, line up along the window, and Cynthia will assist you. If you'd like a candle lit for you, all you have to do is raise your hand and I will acknowledge you and light the candle. So I don't have the number of the hymn. What is it? 1031. I can see it right here. So please join us in singing Loving Kindness. And we light a final candle for all that remains unspoken in our hearts and minds. So our music team has already showed us how improv does not mean that you don't prepare, that you don't have a structure. We have selected four very brave volunteers to be an improvisation team for you, to show you a little bit more of what this going with the flow can look like. So when we were making up the story, these four people were paying perhaps closer attention to find out the story that they would be acting out on the spot. So while they are acting out this story, I'm going to come around and collect any cards. If you have a contribution to the game, just hold that up and I'll come around and collect them. But I would like to invite our improv players up to act out, what was the story called? Do we remember? Charles and Maple Argue About Dinner, presented for the first time live here at Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Church.
Good morning, Maple. My goodness, what a beautifully moist day it is in this cave.
It is absolutely delightfully moist, and I'm just so hungry. What do you want for dinner?
Oh, jeez. Well, you know me, Maple. I can always go for bugs.
Ew! Ew, I don't like bugs.
Well, I don't know what's your problem, but I mean, they're plentiful. They're full of protein. What did you want?
Apples? Have you ever had apples?
No, they're like wet and have no protein at all.
But they're delicious, and they taste like sunshine on a sunny day after you got dancing in the meadow when you were dandelions.
I'm a lizard who likes darkness and wetness and coldness, and so warm, sunny apples have nothing to do with me. We have dinner right here. Look at that rock. I can't lift it. My arms are too tiny. But if you lift that rock with your hooves, see, there's a bug. There's a bug that just ran by.
Are you going to eat him?
Of course.
Disgusting.
It's the circle of life.
No! I saw an apple tree just outside just a few seconds ago. We should go to the apple tree.
I refuse.
No, I do not. Yes, Mr. Bug?
I vote for apples.
Yes! Where's the apple tree? We should go.
I'm staying right here.
Well, I'm not.
Maple.
Look, an apple tree. I think see? They're delicious. Charles, did you try any apples?
What a stupid idea this is.
No, it's not.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Frederick the Bear.
Charles, I'm very scared.
I don't like that.
Charles, there's bugs in the apples, Charles.
What?
There's bugs.
What type of bug?
Horrible.
Hello.
That was they touch me and they squirm everywhere.
Oh, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. I'll take it.
I love bugs. I love bugs. I love bugs.
You can have this one.
I didn't like that bear. I think you should have just listened to me and stay in the cave.
But if we didn't, we wouldn't have found the apples with the bugs.
I guess that's the moral of this story.
Isn't it? I should stay here, or else I don't find the bug apples. But then I guess I wouldn't have met the bear. Hello, bear.
Hello, I love apples too.
You do?
Yes.
Oh.
Do you have any left?
Yes, you can have this one.
Do you have any more?
Yes, see, maybe the moral is that we should explore more often.
You should stay away from that bear, Maple. Scene.
I'm coming. All right. Thank you for a beautiful rendition there. They are going to stay up and play one more game for us.
I'm not looking.
They've got their lines. They will not look at what they have to say until they just say it, and then everyone has to react to it. They just say, Yes, they kind of set themselves up to make a declaration, and then they make the declaration, and chaos ensues. So what they do need is like a context, a scene, a topic, something just to get them started. Does anyone want to suggest something?
Repairing the roof.
Repairing the roof. All right, facilities is gonna pay close attention to this one. So this is preparing the roof, repairing the roof.
I think the roof just dripped water on me. Quick, up there.
I think I see it too.
Oh, jeez.
Oh no, here, we should make sure you yes, and then we'll go up there.
I see it too.
What should we do?
Well, I remember one time when my grandfather's house was leaking, he went ahead and grabbed a whole bunch of buckets, and like in the middle of the sopping wet living room, he looked at me and he said, Bradley, I've lost my ducky and can't take a bath.
Well, that is awful. That's horrible.
And water was all over the floor, but not in the bathtub. Can you believe that?
Right. We definitely need to go up on the roof and fix it, because everyone needs a good duck. Did you find one? A duck?
Yeah, I brought a whole bucket full.
We'll definitely need about 20 of them.
That'll definitely take care of
Do you
it.
think we can handle this fixing the roof, or do we need to call somebody?
I'm not so sure. Let me see what I think I should do. Should I call? Oh yes, I should pull your head out of the ground. That's what we should do.
Yeah. You keep ignoring this issue. There's water all over the floor. Get your head out of the sand.
My head out of the sand. My head is out of the sand, and I'm ready to make repairs.
I don't need sand.
We need a toolbox. Do we have a toolbox?
I'll go get one.
He definitely brought one. Make sure you get one with a hammer.
I'll be right back.
And duct tape.
And duct tape. Yes, everyone needs duct tape.
I brought the big one.
We need duct tape because we have a bucket full of ducks right here.
What color?
Pink.
Pink? I have that.
Blended with the church nicely.
All right, let's get some.
Do you have a ladder?
I'll go get one.
You know, when I see all that pink duct tape up there, it reminds me of something my dad once told me.
What did your dad tell you?
He told me I was writing a column on how many ways your children can drive you crazy.
I bet it's the children who made the hole in the roof.
You know, at the time, I kind of was offended by that.
But now you look back at it and you're like, you know what, Dad? I'm still offended by that.
That's right, but you know, it helped me. It helped me realize pink duct tape can really do a great job.
I'm ready to climb up there with this pink duct tape and fix this roof.
All right, want me to hold the ladder?
Sure, hold the ladder. While I was getting ready for this morning, while we were talking about it, I heard someone on the radio say, the voice came over the radio and told me, my car runs on hot dog water, and my mother couldn't be prouder.
She'd be very proud of you now, climbing up this ladder.
She would love to see me climbing up this ladder.
I'm so proud of you. That's what your mom would say.
Quick, find the spot for her up there. Point it out to her.
Let me get my laser pointer. See that spot right there?
I see that.
Don't put it there. You put the duct tape in this area, right over there.
I see the spot.
Yeah,
I've
you
got
put the
it.
duct tape right there.
I see the duct tape.
Yeah.
I'm running out of duct tape.
Make sure you layer the duct tape with more duct tape.
More duct tape.
Yes, there we go. Okay, I think that's it.
Quick, come down. There's a bug by your shoe.
Full of protein.
It is.
You know, I feel like hot dog water good, water through roof bad.
Y'all have been very generous with the applause, but let's give one more round of applause for our actors. When I started looking for collaborators for this very creative service, and I started reaching out to Religious Services Committee people about forming an improv team, everyone came back and was like, oh, you should ask Kirk Roberts. So I did, and I'm so glad he said yes. And I was going to pick his brain about this whole process just for a minute or two. I know we're over time. That happens when we improv as well. But Kirk, would you like to come up and say hi for a second?
The answer is no.
I mean, you are totally allowed to decline. But I was just hoping, you've shared a lot of your improv wisdom with me this week. I was wondering what your favorite lesson from improv is, and if you'd like to say a little something about that.
Okay. I don't know if I'm mic'd. Am I mic'd?
You can use this one if you're not.
I can use this one. I would say one of the first ones I learned, you mentioned yes and. That's very important and powerful to adopt into your life, because most of the time we say no in our lives. And if you just notice during your life, during your day-to-day activities, how many times do I say no, or some version of no to things, and how many times do I say yes to things? And maybe even have a day where you decide, I'm going to just say yes as much as I possibly can. And the lesson that I learned was there are people who generally say no and people who generally say yes. And the people who say no are rewarded with security. And the people who say yes are rewarded with adventure. So you can make your own choice. Do I want security or do I want adventure?
Thank you. So why did we do this today? There's a lot of answers to that question, but the big answer for me today is that life doesn't have a script. As much as we want to control our circumstances completely, there are so many things that are outside of our control. And that makes me really thoughtful about, well, how do we navigate when we can't control life, which we absolutely cannot? And I think some of the ways that we do improv and some of the ways that we jam also suggest the answer to those questions. So we do, even when we can't control, we do invite a certain amount of structure to guide us. We also have a couple of rituals that are grounding points. But more importantly, we have each other. And I think that is one of the beautiful and most exciting parts of the journey of life and the journey of doing church without a script, is that it makes more room for us to hear each other. It makes more room for us to respond to each other. And it can create a lot of joy in the moment, not knowing what to expect and then it being delightful. The other little thing I want to share with you is this idea called expira-fail. It's a combination of the words experiment and fail, because you're gonna mess up. There were a million little unscripted mistakes today, but no one said, oh, that was a mistake. Oh no, that was so awful. No, we laughed. We had fun. We turned it into something even better. And we are learning here as we are doing this. Some of my more cerebral colleagues would say that the method is the message. And I think that is very much the case today, that what we are trying to do together here is actually the whole point. So I'll just leave you all to think about that, and we are going to extinguish our chalice now.
Improvising has so much in common with riding a bicycle, surfing, or skiing. Things are not stable, not linear, nor predictable. The situation is always in flux. Our footing keeps changing. This approach may be uncomfortable or unsettling at first, and it is natural to seek out security. Even if we succeed in finding solid ground for a while, we can depend on the fact that it will eventually change. Rocky terrain is unavoidable and may even be the path to something wonderful. We can count on that chaos. Thank you for being with us today. We'll hope you stay for coffee hour, which is happening. Coffee hour is happening. The youth group will be meeting next Sunday, March 19th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. on the main floor of the RE building. Youth age 12 through high school can bring a snack, a drink, or a friend and meet our youth group facilitators. The Covenant of Unitarian Universalist Pagans, also known as CUPS, will be meeting after church next Sunday. They will be having a spring equinox celebration at 2 p.m. next Sunday. The anti-racism subgroup in the Social Justice Committee is hosting a multicultural book group where they will explore mistakes and miracles. It is a book that UUs all over the country will be reading this year. It profiles 5 different UU congregations trying to figure out how to best build anti-racist multicultural communities. Please talk to John, or you can email antiracism@hvuuc.org to sign up by next Sunday so that we can put in a bulk order for the books. Our newsletter is published, and on the back counter, you'll find information there about a very unique Sunday service coming up in April, all sorts of news about what our social justice task groups are doing, and more. If you're visiting us today, we especially are grateful for your presence. If you want to learn more about us and you're here in person, please go to the visitors table, which is the green table by the door, pick up a brochure and sign the visitors book. If you're online, you can get more information by visiting our website or emailing visitor@hvuuc.org.
Thank you again for trying this experiment with us today. Next week, I'm going to be telling the story of the Giving Tree, our Social Justice Committee's special holiday project that got us into a giving spirit this winter. It's like I haven't been on script the whole time, and now I'm like struggling to just read words. That's hilarious. This message next week is going to give us a chance to look at generosity and how generosity is good for all of us. I did have some announcements come in last minute. Planned Parenthood is having an advocacy day on Tuesday, March 21st. It includes some opportunities to stand up for reproductive freedoms in Knoxville if you want to travel for that. If you're interested, mark your calendars now, March 21st, and be looking in the e-news for more information coming soon about that. An ETSU organization is hosting a You Cannot Drag Us Down drag show and story time on Friday, March 31st at 6 p.m. Our congregation has been invited to have a table at the event, and so if you would like to help at the table, please contact myself or Tristan. I don't think Tristan's here today. Email minister@hvuuc.org. And just last night, I talked with Amy Bond's family, and we have set a date and a time for her memorial service. We will be honoring this long-beloved member of our congregation on Saturday, March 25th at 1 p.m. Anyone from Amy's church home here is welcome to attend, and an e-news reminder will go out soon. So, our benediction. Y'all, anything is possible, and that can be terrifying or it can be wonderful. Let's make it wonderful, knowing who we are sharing the experience with, knowing our mission, our vision, our values, and our principles, and letting whatever it is who is truly you shine forth in these unscripted moments. let's sing our closing hymn, which is absolutely gonna rock. That's number 1017, We Are Building a New Way.
Everybody ready?
Thank you.